Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Alexis joining us. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, everybody.
Guys, so we have a really exciting video. One of the most requested topics. Everyone is you pushed out. So we're going to explain what it is. We're going to explain what it isn't. And also, it's a term used in NLP as well, which is perception is projection. So yeah. So me and Alexis are going to go through a little bit. The first thing that, I just like to explain about everyone is you pushed out is basically how the law of attraction works. So we have a thought and we think something and then it goes out to the universe. So for instance, if I intend that someone buys me a cup of coffee or that I get a free cup of coffee, that thought goes into somebody, they think it's their idea, and then they buy me the coffee. So sometimes there's the misunderstanding that everyone is you pushed out means that everyone's a mirror of you. So that if Jerry is, let's say, a liar, that somehow I'm a liar because he's a liar. So he's me, a part of me. So I need to change a part of me to change him, but that's not true. It's only our perception of it, which Alexis is going to talk more here. It's our assumption, our perception of the person that needs to change because we're actually perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and I love that, Amanda, that you brought up the perfect aspect, because that's something that I think that we're all missing, right, from our mental diets, is that we're all perfect, whole, and complete. We just have maybe thought thoughts for a long time that created dominant thoughts about ourselves that have created the state of being imperfect. But you guys, you're all perfect, whole, and complete. So please, if you're listening to this, add that into your mental diet. I am perfect, whole, and complete right now. So the way that we look at this, though, about perception is projection and how we create other people is that I am perfect, whole, and complete. SP is perfect, whole, and complete, but maybe SP has some behavior that we don't like. So in NLP, we want to separate the person and the behavior so that we see the person is perfect, whole, complete. I love you because I love me. We're all the vibration of love anyways, but you've got some behavior that we can just change with our thoughts. So that's how perception is projection, because you've projected a behavior onto someone that you've thought about over and over again. And that's how we change it with the mental diet.
Exactly. And that's, you know what, that's the same thing is with everything, say for instance, even your car, it's constantly overhearing you. It's in this quantum physics, it's just atoms, just vibrating atoms that are basically not collapsed onto something until you consciously choose that. So if I always say that my car is reliable, then my car is going to be reliable because it's always overhearing what my thoughts are. So my perception that I'm projecting onto my vehicle, even if though it's not a person, it's got to show up as reliable because again, this is my reality. So it's more like everything is you pushed out. Your reality is a projection. What's out there, and what we perceive things to be, we actually create them as true. This is why it's so important for us to watch the meaning we give things, right?
Definitely. So I like to say in my own mind too, that everyone and everything is me pushed out. And Amanda, funnily enough too, I do intentions for my car. And I played around with this. Yeah. So I played around with if I get pulled over, I don't get a ticket. If I get pulled over, I don't get a speeding ticket. Different things, and it always ends up being true because I've thought the thoughts on purpose about my vehicle. So it's really fun, and I think this is kind of a missing concept, right? So if you guys think about everyone and everything is you pushed out, that means you could send a thought to your electronics, you could send a thought to your phone, you can send a thought to your car. It's the same thing as creating an intention for your SP. So that makes life more fun, I think, and it takes things, everyone and everything is you.
Yeah.
Like, why not intend for good stuff?
I've got an example of this. Okay. So this is my reality. Okay. I never get speeding tickets ever. And do you know why? Because anytime there's radar being done, something prevents me from speeding. Okay. Something or someone prevents me from speeding. So one day, of course, I'm trucking along, speeding away, and all of a sudden, okay, of course, not fast, but and then all of a sudden some guy cut me off, went in front of me as slow as you couldn't believe. And I'm behind, of course, I'm getting a little bit of road rage, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to pass them. I'm like, whatever, I'll just wait. I'm going to be getting off this road soon anyway. And then all of a sudden, sure enough, a minute later, we passed cops doing radar. And I was like, wow, I'm so lucky he did that. And then I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, after past the cops. He went into the other lane, and I was like, okay, back to what I was doing. Like, oh, like, and so there's a really good example of everyone as you pushed out. So my belief, like I always pray that I never get pulled over, that something always saves me from it, whether it be like a big truck in the way of the radar, or like the cop just not seeing me, or somebody slow going in front of me and preventing me from speeding. My thoughts go out and create that to happen in a safe way, and it just always slows me down, and I just always am good. You know, like one time I was going a little bit fast, cops doing radar, pulled over the guy behind me, not me. I don't know, he didn't even see me. I was speeding.
Funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
totally.
It's, everything will just mold to whatever that you need it to be, which is crazy, right? But that's exactly how, you know, this works, because the universe has to fulfill that belief. It has to show up in your reality, whatever, you know, belief or statement that you create, right? And the more you create it, the more it just automatically will happen, right?
Right, exactly. And I think that brings up an offshoot of this, but same topic with everyone as you pushed out, guys, that your 3D reality, when you begin to set intentions and you're doing the inner affirming and you're changing your inner landscape, when you're changing your inner world, you're changing your perception intentionally through conscious creation, and you're manifesting here, the outside 3D world has to conform. But conforming, though, for each of us can be a process, but that's what's happening. So if we think about the quantum reality, outside of you is waves of potential energy. It's either a wave or it's a particle. And when you change your thoughts, because your thoughts create everything, it's changing waves to particles, particles to wave, everything is rearranging. So that's like the lag time, or the waiting with the manifesting. And some people can see like things can get kind of a little bit strange, like we're in the twilight zone when things rearrange themselves, but that means it's working, right? So just to add that in there with the everyone's you pushed out, when you begin to practice this, the 3D reality has to change somehow, right? It can't it just doesn't flip generally. It takes a little bit of rearranging.
Sometimes it does, yeah. The things will flip once the story is fully flipped. But you're right, when there's resistance, you're basically looking at piece by shifting the entire story. And what we mean by practicing is consciously doing it, because you know, the statement of the year is I was into manifesting for a while, but I'm just not manifesting anymore. Oh yeah, I saw that one day and I started laughing. I was like, that's awesome. I'm like, I wish. I'm taking a day off. I'm not manifesting today. Okay, well, no. Guess what? You can't turn this off. It's always on. Right. You know, so it's about just, you know, consciously doing it, consciously creating it. You know, and if you don't consciously create what you want, it's going to default to what you've pre-programmed in there. But you know what? That's great. You know, if you've got something working good in your life, like my relationship with Andrew, it's great. If I don't actually put any conscious effort to it for a day, it sits on good. You know, but it's when things are bad that we don't like that. But you know what? It works both ways. You know, it's just a mechanism, so we don't have to wake up every morning and recreate it. But that's why you say that gradual shift of moving each of them, because you know, it's about creating that whole story and shifting the whole thing, because you know, intention is very specific. Okay, if I say, look at, you know, Jerry has baggage and he doesn't want to marry me, but then I say, well, I intend for Jerry to love me. Yeah, Jerry's going to love me, but he's still not going to want to marry me. So they're very specific. So we've got to get specifically what the problem is, right? Yeah.
Right. And get specific. What I always say is get specific on the story. If you're coming into the session and you're saying, but Alexis, I have this thought in the back of my head. Hang on, really? That's a story. If it's in the back of your head, if that's running on a loop, then that loop has to change. And that's when you can really see movement. And since most of us that come to us and that we're here about talking about love and specific people, because that's where the deep work is, you just want to think that when you're recreating somebody, that's what's happening in the 3D. It has to conform to your intentions when they're thought of and they're thought of and they're thought of, because your reality is rearranging for you. But when you do the recreating of a specific person, you know, you just want to be aware of that's what's going on. I think it's a really interesting component to all this, you know?
Exactly. Oh yeah, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And one thing I did want to mention, you know, and this is a little bit off of everyone as you pushed out, but I think it's very, well, no, it's not actually off of it too much, but one thing that it's actually very much related, actually. One thing to be careful of is, and I know I've been guilty of this, is, and we see this time and time again with people, is we'll create that, you know, so-and-so, you know, doesn't want Tony here, doesn't want a relationship. You're Tony, nobody. And then when Tony says, I don't want a relationship, then all of a sudden we internalize it and make it mean that there's something wrong with us. when now that's creating a second story. And that's not how everyone is you pushed out works. How it is it's only my opinion of Tony and my assumption of Tony. It has nothing to do with me. I was perfect the moment I assumed he didn't want a relationship, and I'm perfect the moment I choose to assume that he does want a relationship. The only thing that's changing is my assumption of Jerry. So what I'm trying to get across, and what I intend to get across, is that, you know, don't make what you create in your reality mean that you're either good enough or not good enough, or that there's something wrong with you as to why it was created, because you're perfect. You've just chosen to have that assumption. Now, if you don't like that assumption, it's not working for you, change it, but don't make it mean that there's something wrong with you that needs to be changed and that you've created that because there's some flaw in you. No, it's just simple. You know, it's, you're good enough and you're perfect. It's just you decided at one point, there were some thoughts that you decided to create that assumption, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it really is as simple as that. So we just want to avoid creating the negative story, because that becomes the mental diet. Instead, we have the mental diet of, we're a perfect, whole, complete. Everything's working for me. I'm thinking my thoughts on purpose. I'm in control of my thoughts. I'm thinking thoughts of my choosing. These are basic things, right? And then that brings us really home here is like, what's the answer to this? Like, what does this all mean? Well, it all comes back to our favorite term, mental diet, everybody. Yay.
Right.
I
know, you know what? Like, I mean, you know, I just sit down, you know, and I just do intentions, and like, I'm good enough. I'm good enough to have what I want today. I'm good enough to feel good today. I'm good enough for Tony or Jerry to call me. I'm good enough, you know, to be happy. I'm good enough to have the relationship that I want. I'm on this I'm good enough kick, you know. Especially if you've been telling yourself for years that you haven't been. But, you know, yeah, just do intentions, you know, just take a look, and you can never do too many. There's no such thing as focusing on this too much, especially when you're switching a negative story. The more you put to it, focusing on what you want, the quicker this is going to happen. You know, the more thoughts that you catch, the quicker you make the shift, right? And then, you know what, you make that one last little story, and then boom, it happens really fast, and you question, oh, did I even want this now? Oh my goodness, I got it. Maybe I don't want it.
Right.
It's like, oh, never mind, that was, whoa, I got it. Okay, maybe I don't want it. Right? You know? Yeah. So amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. And Alexis is available for coaching. Check out the link in the description below. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.